Ramita Hut Juniors! It's been a little over a year and a lot of videos since then, but I think it's about time I return to the world of dressing up in spandex and awkwardly posing in public spaces like I own the damn place. However, I've been a little hesitant to do a video on this suit for a particularly big reason. I didn't film myself making it. But to be fair, most of the process is the same as the last suit I made. The biggest difference is that I took more time with this one. I had a more solid creative vision for how I wanted it to turn out. I had tons more talented cosplay kids from around the globe helping me with the parts I struggled with, and I got to do everything with this suit that I didn't have the resources or skill to pull off with the first one. If you don't mind the fact that most of the progression will be shown through still images taken on my crappy phone, then I can kinda still make a tutorial on this suit. In fact, to make up for it a little, I bought a pre-sewn extra suit and made that into a Mark Bagley Spider-Man so I could film the process for that one and fill in some of the blanks. So this is kinda like two Spider-Man suits for the price of one, but we'll be focusing mainly on the JR Jr. suit, since that one's all homemade. With that being said, I present to you, John Romita Jr. Spider-Man. I know how much everyone loves his art, but I actually just love his art. It's pretty heavily stylized and the proportions and shapes of some things look a little blocky or anatomically incorrect. But does everything have to be hyper-realistic Greg Land porn tracings? I don't hear anyone make these complaints about Mike Mignola's art, but his isn't that far off. Plus, the best Spider-Man cartoon has a pretty blocky and unrealistic art style. Y'all are just mean. Bad comic art is canceled. That part isn't a joke, it's actually canceled.
Oh. Make a costume, shithead! Costume?
Anywho, I was tooling around with the idea of doing another suit for the past year or so, and my buddy Jacob suggested making it based on the works of a specific comic artist, which would add an extra layer of challenge, but also make it look pretty damn neat in the end. He himself sewed together a suit from scratch based on the early Ditko Spidey, using some techniques from my first tutorial, as well as some of his own unique skills. So this adorable little Peter Parkery knucklehead sketched up some templates for the logos based on some panels from the JMS comics, and I got to work. This time I bought some slightly better bodysuits online. Turns out you can find these on Amazon for really low prices instead of waiting for a Halloween store to stock them like a loser. I think the material for these ones is just nicer to work with. It's really stretchy and nice on the skin. Sometimes comfort is just as important as the look. Maybe some days you want to just use the suit as pajamas.
Or perform some depraved sex acts.
So put it on, flex on them a little like a doofus, sketch out the lines for where you cut the red portions, and then chop it up with some scissors. This portion of the tutorial is pretty much the same as the original suit I made, so go check out that video first. The only major difference is that I stopped segmenting the gloves from the rest of the red on the arms. This time I had the idea of sewing it all the way up the arm and just having the gloves stretch over like a hood. That way you can take them off and hide the suit under your clothes in scorching hot weather and die of heat stroke from wearing too many layers, but you can also have it look more connected and no one will even notice that they're removable. Plus you don't gotta worry about losing them or sewing on like 6 extra snap buttons. Also, make sure to mark the spot where you'll draw the spider logo on you while you're wearing it and standing upright. On my first suit, I put the logo on while lying down, so it's a little too low on my chest. This time I said screw it and didn't hem the red parts anywhere because spandex doesn't really need it and it's reducing material for you to work with. If you're still concerned about the edges, Frang, you just give them one of these. You know, a decent amount of this video is stuff you guys have already seen or heard from me, so do you mind if I take some brief intermissions to give some shoutouts for cool people I've worked with lately? Of course you don't mind, thanks for understanding. If you're looking for a new gameplay channel to watch, since a lot of other ones have disappeared lately, my good buddy Governor, yes that's his real name, has started one with his roommate and his girlfriend. They're really funny, honest, and profound people. Governor's a bit of a renaissance man actually, because him and his girlfriend Shauna write, draw, and publish this neat indie comic, and they let me buy some ad space in it. She's done some really crazy awesome artwork too for a few professional projects as well as just for fun. And Gov has done some voice acting work as well as appearing on an episode of that show At Midnight for his epic reading of Frankenstein. I recently recorded a Let's Play of Marvel Ultimate Alliance with them, so go check it out.
Well, you start telling me the channel has taken 6 lives since its inception. No one knows how or why, but people keep dying.
Okay, have you ever seen Final Destination? It's like that, but YouTube videos come out at the end.
I can't be mad at Thor. He did way more than Star-Lord did.
Well, you know what? You know why Star-Lord's a hero? Is because he bought us one extra Avengers movie. He's too strong!
Yeah!
Yeah! Back on track. The only part of the suit you gotta hem up really is the neck on the red and blue suit, since that part gets stretched out a lot. Then for the absurdly annoying and difficult task of pinning the red piece to the blue suit underneath. Remember not to pin this part so we can make that glove opening. There's no shame in having a second person help you with this. It's a giant pain in the tuchus, and my life would be so much easier if I had a mannequin with my exact body proportions to take out some self-esteem issues on and use for cosplays. Once this thing has just become a red and blue Iron Maiden death trap full of pointy parts, very carefully peel yourself out of it and then get to work on sewing the chest and belt on there. I can't remember how on earth we managed to sew the arms on this thing the first time with the sewing machine, so that part I just did by hand on this suit. It's really as simple as just running some stitches up and down the arm a few times while you wear it, making sure to tie them off well. Just don't pull too hard on this glove hood thing or you'll stip these riches on accident. Alright, you're done if you want to be PlayStation 1 Spider-Man, or maybe you can just do the webs on the gloves and mask if you want to be meme fodder, but the rest of us still got a lot of work to do. Time to move on to the most annoying and painful experience of your cosplay career. Webs. So I got this washable marker thing that's really handy. It shows up decently well on red fabric, and it comes off from just making contact with water. So I sketched out the web lines on the entire suit with this thing. I looked at a lot of John Romita Jr. art from different angles to find the exact amount of columns on the chest and arms. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but on average it's about 6 on the chest and 4 on the arms. I did kind of mess up a little on some of the horizontal webs, but that's the beauty of erasable markers. This layer of webs is really just to make the top layer look good, and it won't be the final product. I guess this just generally feels more relaxing than using a Sharpie, because you don't get a do-over with that. Now on to doing the puffy shiny webs. I really wanted this with my original suit, but I was too afraid of screwing it up. But sometimes you gotta just admit to yourself, Xavier, all you ever do is screw things up. Who cares? Just go for it. Romita draws the webs very square and grid-like. While on this Bagley suit I did, I noticed that they're much less of a uniform size and shape and curve a lot more up towards the neck while bulging at the chest. So, about puff painting. Use this brand, it's the only good kind for this. This is going to be 10 shades of annoying, so brace yourself. In the time it took me to paint all the webs on this suit, my girlfriend and I watched the entire Friday the 13th series and every Harry Potter movie in 2 separate marathons. Calculate the amount of hours that takes. Plus like 3 or 4 extra ones for when she fell asleep and I kept working on it anyway because I became obsessed with getting it done to the point of permanently damaging my sleep schedule and personal relationships with the workers of Joann Fabrics. To make sure these web lines don't come off or start to crack, you gotta do multiple layers. One of which you really just mash into the fabric so it dyes the insides of the threads. This one's kind of impossible to get out, so if the layers on the top fall off, this one will always be there. Then you do another layer of the puffy web on the top to give it some dimension and some shine. Then one more if you're super paranoid about it. I can't exactly paint this while it's on me, so I stuffed a pillow and cutting board inside the suit to stretch it out to about the same size as a human torso since I don't have any of those on hand. For the limbs and the neck, you can just shove empty plastic bottles in there, or towels, or both. Whatever works for just keeping it fluffed out so the webs can dry in the right shape. While you're working on that tedious task, you can listen to this awesome Spider-Man-themed podcast by my friend Dan Gvozden. He's a writer for The Hollywood Reporter as well as one of the biggest Spider-Man fans of all time. His show gets some incredibly big names for guest interviews, but somehow his views and sub count don't ever seem to climb. It's maddening how great this podcast is, but it gets no attention. If you like any of these people and want to know a little bit more about them, he's interviewed all of them on the show. Plus, he does reviews of every issue of Spidey, so if you want to know which ones are worth checking out, give him a listen. Who knows, maybe I'll be on that show someday. Alright, I hope you left a space for that chest logo. You can really make it based on how any Spidey artist draws the logo. Pretty much every artist does a different one, and it's fun to celebrate all their unique little signatures on the design. No 2 guys draw it exactly alike, and I like to think of each art style as its own individual costume that Spidey wore. There's a world of difference between Ditko, McFarlane, and Del Otto, yet they're all very clearly just Spidey. As I said earlier, my pal Jacob drew these stencils for the front and back logos based on the way Romita Jr. does them, so I printed them off at about the right size. For the front logo, I cut the shape of it into a piece of cardboard, laid it on the suit, then used a brush to get all of the puff paint to sit really flat on the surface. Kinda like how I did the Ben Reilly hoodie. Except I did it on a cutting board this time instead of X-Acto knifing the shit out of my poor mother's kitchen table. After that, I went over the outline of the logo with the tube of puff paint so the edges look a little more defined and catch the light better. I think it turned out pretty good. Don't mind the fact that I screwed up the web pattern on top of the logo. I just put some red paint on there and now you can't even tell. I'm not an incompetent fraud, I swear. I'm super good at this, you guys. Please don't leave me, I need you. Back to the back. Logo. This time I decided to just skip all that nonsense with the cardboard and pin the paper with the stencil straight to the suit while the cutting board and pillow were inside. Turns out that works pretty well. What doesn't work pretty well is this rival brand of puff paint. It was extremely watery and hard to work with. It left the suit looking more stained than painted, even after multiple layers. It just had more of a brownish, muddy look than a red. So after it dried for a few hours, I went back over the same area with the superior brand of puff paint on a couple of layers, and it looked way better. This is something I'd recommend doing instead of cutting the shape out of some fabric and gluing it on. I really just got lucky the first time, and that could have easily fallen apart or become a mess. This way there's just nothing to fall off or get old. The paint's not going anywhere. Adding soles to the suit was uniquely tricky, but just makes it so much more authentic and practical if you pull it off. I didn't realize this until way after the fact, but the water shoes I got for this look like they have a web pattern on the bottom. So what you do is you get a water shoe that's about one size too small because it needs to be rather tight for this to work. Then you get a foam pad. I found these ones that are supposed to be like arch supports for your shoes if you're an old man who feels like your shoes don't have a good enough arch support. I cut that out to be about the right size to fit into the water shoe, then slid it into the boot from the costume. I put some plastic bags on so I didn't glue myself into the shoe, and then used this stuff called shoe goo, which is some of the sturdiest adhesive you can buy just short of web fluid. Then you can coat the inside of the sole and the bottom of the boot with the stuff. Press down hard on it, and then just wait for a little while until it's starting to dry. Give it about 20 minutes or something. Then you take it off very carefully and let it just sit for about a day. If you want to make the soles a little less noticeable on the suit, you can try and make them red with this stuff called Plastidip. It's like spray painting on a layer of rubber, and it's really resistant to wear and tear. It's super cool to be able to walk around pretty much anywhere in the suit now, and it's pretty comfortable to run in too. Does it break the immersion a little that his feet can stick through a half-inch of rubber sole? Yeah, but not as much as him wearing nothing but a layer of spandex while he walks around on hot rooftops covered in gravel or alleys full of broken glass. Speaking of broken glass, you can hear the sound of my voice on a gaming-themed podcast called Autosaving the Day, where me and two other more entertaining guys talk about upcoming games from the perspective of comic fans. And we even pitch our own ideas for games. The host is my pal Diego Rivera, who has his own channel where he reviews comic book games and whatnot, with his own unique spin on it. Panels to Pixels does a great job of editorials and opinion pieces on comic games as well, and his content is really upbeat and energetic. So if I'm taking too long to upload and you want some similar style of content in the meantime, they've got you covered. Think of them as the Sub-Zero and Reptile to my Scorpion. Similar, but still unique and worth checking out. Putting the webs on these boots is a goddamn nightmare, and I couldn't bend my leg in any position to make it easier. You might need another person for this one, or to just stuff it with towels in the relative shape of a leg, or put bottles into it. Or break into a department store at the mall and rob the place at gunpoint, demanding just a single mannequin and become labeled in the media as some kind of perverse fiend, then write into the local news station a manifesto constructed of newspaper clippings in which you tell them that you're just a cosplayer in hard times and you only did inappropriate things to the mannequin once after just a few drinks one night and that wasn't the sole intention of taking it, which they'll misconstrue as you saying you intended to steal further mannequins, causing mall security to carry tasers and shotguns, resulting in a misunderstanding where an elderly woman named Gladys attempts to remove a jacket from a mannequin and is massacred by the guards, causing you to feel extreme guilt and return the mannequin to set things right, only for it to be revealed that they sometimes sell the old ones that they don't need anymore for like $20, and all the bloodshed could have been avoided, culminating in your supervillain origin story where you become a mannequin-themed bank robber with no face, but insanely trendy choices of clothing and limited posability of your joints. Anyway, just stitch some snap buttons on the boots and they stay right up. I guess the suit's done. Jacob made me this badass mask to complete the John Romita Jr. look, and it's pretty amazing. Pretty much my favorite part of the suit. I found out he was working on a John Romita Sr. mask and bought it from him right away because I couldn't let anyone else have something so perfect. He was gracious enough to also explain his process behind making them for us. Take it away, boyo! Okay, Jacob, what are you doing right now in this little video tutorial of yours?
Shit, alright, so this is, fuck, I don't know what I'm around doing shit for anyway.
You're just talking to the camera, but we're not using that audio.
Yeah, so, I got a Sharpie in my hand, I got my iPad underneath this sheet of notebook paper, and I'm just drawing out this template that I made on there.
So, alright, so you got this little thingamajig here, you're gonna trace it onto that foam stuff?
Yeah,
right?
I got my Sharpie, I put the fuking paper down, and I basically just Yeah, I draw all the fuck over it so that the same image is on the foam afterwards.
And then here's another video of you doing that. It's necessary to do it from 2 angles.
Here's me doing the thing. You can see my unfinished Unstoppable Spider-Man suit in the background of this one. It's over there.
Oh yeah.
It's over there in the corner, hanging up, out hanger.
People don't know what Unstoppable Spider-Man is, and they're cretins for it. Unstoppable Spider-Man's fucking cool.
It's pretty cool, man. He's got the black suit right now. It's pretty neato. Anyway, here's me cutting some fucking foam. So this is my garage. This is the inside of my garage. Here I got some Plasti Dip. It's basically this rubber coating that goes on like spray paint.
Yeah, people use it for cars.
Yeah, so that shit's not going anywhere. So you're gonna want to use your Plasti Dip on the foam frames that you've cut out. You know, if you're just going for classic Spider-Man eyes, just use the black Plasti Dip and you're good. You can just move on from there. But if you're wanting to make a pair of like Miles lenses or something where they got to be like red, you know, a different color, do the Plasti Dip first because it'll prime it, because spray paint likes to eat away at foam. And once you got that on there, you can spray paint it any color you want and it looks real good.
All right, so here you are. You're putting on this Gorilla Glue stuff. This stuff is This glue is so powerful. I have glued my hand to itself trying to use it. It also okay. I tried to glue a mask, like some mask lenses, onto my face shell, and it got so stuck that I actually had to rip the plastic on the face shell. Like, there's just a chunk taken out of it because it was so powerful. That glue is never coming off ever.
I remember one time I was fixing like a fucking beer cozy or something for my dad with it, and I used like a little bit too much, and the chemical reaction that happened when the two were like fusing together, the heat that formed from it was enough to actually make like the foam in the beer cozy smoke.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I saw it and I was like, oh fuck.
Anyways, okay, so you get this stuff. It's like called a perforated vinyl. It's like this plastic sticker kind of thing.
Put some of that on some plastic and cut out the shape you need and glue it to the frames, and then you got it something that looks a little bit like this, depending on what shape you got here. Turn it around, fucking past me. What the fuck you doing?
Turn it around.
Taking fucking long.
Show us. There you go. Okay, show us the front. Yeah, there you go. Work it.
Fuck, that looks nice, doesn't it? All right,
it's cool. That's on my mask. I'm wearing that right now.
You're wearing it right now?
No, I'm not wearing it right now. It's on
Your
my
fucking hat.
I'm sorry.
All right, here's a video of me. Oh shit, the face reveal. So before you glue your fucking on, you're gonna want to paint. You're gonna want to paint the webs on your fucking mask, because trying to do that shit after is a fucking pain in the ass. So don't do it. Make sure you do the webs first, you fucking idiots. All right.
Okay, because what I do is I kind of like press the applicator to the fabric so it really soaks into the inside of it. It's just not.
Yeah, it's stained into the fabric. The way that I do it, there will be a bit of a stain, but there's always the chance of the outer like top part that's raised breaking eventually if you stretch it too much, and you'll have to repaint it after that. It's not that big of a deal if it happens, because it's an easy fix, I guess.
Alright, last but not least is attaching these lenses to the mask.
And here's a video of me doing that this looks like it was filmed at night, So yeah, you can't really see because I'm a fucking moron standing in front of the camera. Basically, you're gonna want...
Get the fuck out of the way, past Jacob.
Yeah, you're gonna want to use I got an old gift card right here that I'm using to smear around the glue, because you don't need that much of it. So I just basically put like a drop on the end and smear it around to get the coverage I need. And I start at the inner corner,
and then you just kind of flatten it out with the card.
I start at the inner corner of the lens where it like touches the nose almost, and then I just kind of move all the way to the outer corner.
Okay, so something else to note for the audience: if you have a mannequin head that you're doing this on, please, for the love of God, put some plastic wrap on it, because that glue will attach the mask to the mannequin head.
Yeah, like, when you rip the mask off, there will be styrofoam stuck to the inside of the mask. It'll be like it'll be like the symbiote suit with cardboard on the inside of it. You don't want that shit again.
Oh, why do you gotta bring up these painful memories?
That suit's in the trash now. It got peed on.
Oh yeah, I got a cat, and he was like 8 weeks old, and then he peed on it because he was like, "What's this thing laying in the corner where no one wants
What's this trash thing with a spider on it?"
The gross spider on the crotch. It was just coated in cat pee. I had to get rid of it. Anyway, that's how Jacob does masks. Thank you for letting us in on your process and showing us how you do that voodoo that you do. Hopefully you'll be in these cosplay tutorials from this point forward, just like little bits like this, since you are kind of like my biggest helper with these now, since my mom was just like, I'm not doing them anymore. I give up. They're done. They're yours. I'm so tired of it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, how many masks do you have for me now? You've got a lot of those.
I've got 5 now. 5 masks from you.
Hell yeah, man.
I'm your best customer so far.
I think
I keep coming back.
I'll be making masks with no particular person in mind. I'm just making a Miles one or that Romito one that I was making in that video, and I'm just like, man, this is coming out pretty good. Look at this picture, Xavier, and he's like, check your PayPal.
Because I need it. I can't let anyone else have it. It's mine. Anyway, thank you so much. This was great. I'm going to get back to doing the scripted voiceover now. Thank you, Jacob. You're the best.
See ya.
Love you, little brother.
Mwah.
And if you don't feel like going through all that, you can just buy one of these from him directly and let him take care of the hard part. With results like this, you know it's worth the price. Plus, these things are pretty damn durable, unless you get a battle-damaged one, which he also makes. Just for posterity's sake, I did try my hand at making my own mask with this process, and I like how it turned out. So, there you go. And what lesson have we learned today, kids? No matter who you are, or how hard you work out, or how good of shape you're in, someone will always think you look chubby in spandex, so stop trying to please people and just dress how you like. Sorry for interrupting the video so many times, but there's not a lot of different stuff about the process with the suit. I just wanted to show some gratitude for the cool people who I work with and help them out since they're all so underrated. And speaking of underrated, everyone lay off Johnny Boy over here. He does some really good work when he wants to. I know some of it looks a little messy, and a lot of his best work was dependent on a good colorist, but I think people are too hard on the guy. Now I'm gonna get back to more restaurant rants because, man, that Chuck E. Cheese video took off. Just a quick reminder before you go that I post my videos a day early on Patreon and give exclusive behind-the-scenes content and patron-exclusive videos. Please consider becoming a patron, it really helps me out. If you want a more short-term way to support the channel, you can check out my merch in the links in the description. We have t-shirts, phone cases, posters, mugs, pillows, baby onesies, and so much more. See you next time!